It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Twilord.
Back by special request, we're going to give Ian the key questions for how to write a Digimon narrative. Digimon is an incredibly flexible franchise, and it is known for its experimental side as much as it is for its monster partners, ensemble casts, and its affinity for trauma. So you don't need to stress about other creators' own takes on the lore. Please consider each question a cumulative from the last, and assume 3 arcs roughly tied to evolution levels of whatever length you want.
Okay, but before we get started, let's put a little bit of context on this. I'm fine with, just surface level for funsies theory crafting. But if you want me to do like a serious plot and character construction for a project, that's a whole separate commission, which, I'm open to. Anybody, shoot me an email, we'll talk. For a BumbleKast Mini, that's not so much what I can justify in terms of time and production. So Twilord's got some big ideas here, and there's certainly fertile ground to work with, but I also cannot do a full series construction within 30 minutes. So this is if you're coming away from this going, he could have done more, yeah, probably, but if it were the appropriate job. This is a BumbleKast Mini. This is for focused Q&A, not narrative construction,
Okay, well, fine. We'll do what we can then with the time allotted. So let's not waste any more of it. Fundamentally, Digimon is a techno-occult franchise which explores the potential occult implications of our ongoing technical revolution. Depending on the universe, Digimon are often portrayed as spiritual beings that got entangled in modern technology, or as unintended cyberspace byproducts that have gained quasi-mystical properties, or even the manifestation of archetypes from the human collective consciousness that have bonded to digital forms. It all started with an equation like that hyping the V-Pets. Similarly, the digital world might be an emergent property of our intelligent technology, or it might be another dimension that has collided with the artificial plane of cyberspace. There are hints and teases of how these all work together for the greater Digimon multiverse. However, the uncertainty itself is important for that hint of mystery that is so important to the heart of the franchise. Take hold of that freedom, Ian, and tell us what sings to your soul. How much of your interpretation would flow from the occult side, how much from the techno side, and how much from the don't think about it side?
I don't want to use the don't think about it as a crutch too much. That's an easy out.
Yeah.
That's more of a life preserver when things go awry.
That's the Sonic way out.
That's when you run out of plot spackle. It might be interesting to take a more occult approach. Occult as viewed through the modern lens. What is the Digimon equivalent of a blood sacrifice? If the villain were to take someone's Digimon and delete it, does that count as snuffing out a life for some dark digigod?
Is that murder? Yes.
Does it only count in the Digiverse? Does it count in the real world? And, Digiworld is just as real world, I know, but for the sake of distinction, human world and Digiworld, maybe we'll say that. Is it not an equivalent exchange where a simple digital life does not carry the same weight as, say, a human one, and therefore the antagonist is out to gather as many Digimon as possible and throw them into the great blender to achieve whatever they're after? The scale of the atrocity can be huge, or it can be more personal. It kind of depends on how much weight you want to give to the Digiverse in whatever incarnation.
All I know is that they are the champions, so I would assume that means that they are extremely important. So if you kill one, if you die in the Digiverse, you die for real.
There's also the element of, are there free roaming Digimon in the way that Pokemon have the critters running around in the environment? In which case, do Pokemon that have cultivated their bonds with their partners carry more weight, spiritually speaking? Is the antagonist purposefully egging on the party so that they have stronger bonds, so that he has prime cuts of meat, so to speak, to sacrifice on his dark altar?
Delicious. I'm down. Tasty. Digimon as a franchise regularly uses both urban fantasy and isekai setups, and often mixes and matches, either between arcs or jumping back and forth. When I ran a poll on Digimon's subreddit, the preference was very split. Earth allows the cast to work for or against something like Gun/Men in Black. There have been a couple of equivalents. And maybe make good on the old promise of Digimon phenomenon outside Japan. The digital world lets you play with more survival themes, build your own world, if you want, even with Sky Pirates, and could streamline making a multinationality team. In many continuities, Digimon can't reincarnate if they die on Earth because they disconnected from their natural flow of the home world, whereas the bizarre nature of the digital world tends to put the humans in more danger by comparison. You can make your own rules, though. There is no real right or wrong answer for when to use which, but maybe there is an Ian Flynn answer. So Ian, tell me, what approach to using one or both the digital and physical world sounds most enjoyable to you as a writer?
I would be inclined to take a page from The Talisman, which is a wonderful book that never got a mediocre sequel that kind of ruined the taste for the entire franchise. Just the one book. It was wonderful and whimsical. Don't look for anything else.
Okay.
And have the two worlds and investigate the parallels between them. See what is analogous between the two and what is not. And with this type of story, there's always the singular entity that is unique between the two worlds for whatever reason, whether it is they are the chosen one or there has been some kind of disaster and they are a remainder. It could be any number of ways to approach it, but that also makes them a perfect vehicle to look into the two worlds. And as they discover what the differences are, so does the viewer or reader or what have you. So to me, I feel like, why pick one world? You have the human world for its grounded nature and to give a little bit of context to the human partners. And then the Digiworld is the land of whimsy. It's the fantastical stuff. That's the icing on the cake, baby. That's where all the real fun is. But if you go whole hog fantasy, you run the risk of losing a little bit of the grounded nature of it. And with Digimon, I feel like you kind of need that real world analog, that real world grounding, so that the fantastical is immediately explained. Oh, it's another world. Okay, it's crossing over to the real world. That's fine. How do they get between the two? Oh, it's absolutely perilous. Oh, what fun. And go from there.
What is this podcast and two worlds? This podcast has a weird tendency to loop back on two worlds. It's two worlds too many as far as I'm concerned. The most popular Digimon stories are the ones that know to put emphasis on their ensemble cast, while giving them a lot of baggage to deal with so their Digimon can help them cut through it. Generally, you would want between 3 and 8 tamers to focus on. Boy, that's a lot. The leader is the only...
This kind of ties into what I said earlier. Yeah. We can't theory craft a whole 8 cast members here on a mini.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe 2 or 3, but yeah, not 8. The leader is the only required role. They often wear goggles, which are a long-time symbol for bravery and leadership in Digimon, to the point that other characters are often said by fans to have earned their own goggles. For the future leader, these qualities may start off aspirational. I suggest you consider having a loner and or emotional support character for the team who can have a chance to earn their own goggles at some point, either to show character growth or to completely break them in order to build them up again. It can also be good to have a younger team member everyone needs to look out for, or a slightly older character who is breaking under the pressure of being the eldest. Siblings are also a recurring theme inside groups, as it can create tension for the team to overcome. In any case, be sure to give each of them some form of metaphorical inner demons, struggles, or turmoil that their Digimon can help them with. Despite these popular archetypes, it's up to you and how you want to build out your team. Maybe some combination of these speaks to you. Maybe none do. Feel free to just make XPs of Vice and Sally with more grounded home lives and issues. Kind of like Persona characters. Okay. So how might you personally build a feel-good ensemble cast to traumatize? Be sure to name your characters.
Just going off of some of the previous prompts and what we've come up here, I'm going to do a small nod to Gurren Lagann, because in the idea of aspirations and characters and goggles, that's how the gears in my mind synced up. And say that your leader character is the cool older brother or older sister, the cooler older sibling, the one who kind of has it together, the one who can kind of rally the team, and your supporting cast reflect aspects that main character can bolster, their misgivings or their hang-ups. The elder sibling is able to help guide them through that, in addition to their Digimon partners. And then you have the younger sibling who aspires to be just as cool and competent and with it as their older sibling. Very much a Kamina Simone kind of thing. And the older sibling will have the goggles, so that when they get offed in the first act in the horribly tragic way that you totally didn't see coming.
Oh, of course not, when it's written by you.
Yeah. The goggles are the only thing that remains, and that is what the younger sibling inherits. And something that they wear around their neck as kind of a tribute and memorial to what they are. And then you realize that the extended cast wasn't a reflection of the elder sibling. They were all reflections of the misgivings of the younger sibling. And that is how the ensemble cast is reflecting the true main character. And that younger sibling is the one who aspires to rise and fill the void that was left by their elder sibling. And when they finally made their turning point, then those goggles go up on the forehead. They have earned said goggles. They have come into their own. They have found their own path towards righteous leadership or whatever. And there's a Digimon involved somewhere. And together, the group grows as a unit to become stronger. Without the elder sibling to rely on as a crutch, they come together to solve their own issues and insecurities. There are Digimon involved. And they come together as a whole to defeat said villain who is trying to kill all Digimon to merge the Digimon and human worlds so that there is a singular reality to be controlled and to reduce it to kind of a mundane, singular tone, perhaps?
Maybe. So basically, you just want to make what happens to Tails when Sonic gets vaporized.
That could be one interpretation, except Sonic doesn't wear goggles.
True. Tails does, sometimes, in some incarnations.
But that's only Boom.
Well, maybe this is the Boom universe, but things get serious.
No, Boom, not serious. I'm not that much of a monster to make Boom serious. Come on now.
Are you sure?
Don't tempt me, Kyle. We're talking about Digimon.
I know, but it always comes back to Sonic around these parts. Digimon tickly. Digimon typically have 6 natural evolutionary stages. However, unless wounded, exhausted, or reincarnated, only 4 of their forms tend to be plot relevant. The rookie is the form of a partnered Digimon and will often take at rest, and is the form in which tamers are most likely to meet their Digimon. If the tamer meets their Digimon in a lower form, then the Digimon will likely receive a power boost, which causes them to obtain their rookie form. Whether foil or complement, mentor or ward, they'll usually quickly be best friends. Champion form can be obtained by Digimon as a survival reaction to their partner being endangered, or it can be obtained by the tamer finding the power inside, or learning to trust their Digimon with that power. It can be used as a reward for a character answering the call to adventure instead, or as well. In any case, this is when the tamer's personality really starts to impact their Digimon's evolution to announce their bonding to the audience. It is pretty common that Digimon media will introduce new species to be in the spotlight while using existing Digimon to fill in other roles. Usually the leader has a dinosaur partner, and if there's a rival or a loner who later embodies friendship, they usually have a wolf, fox, or dog. How do you picture the relationship between your cast and the rookie forms of their partners, and how obtaining that first evolution impacts the look of said champions? Because they are Digimon. Digimon are the champions.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of sold me on the principal idea that, main character has a dinosaur companion. Like, sure, sign the check. I'm done. You got me on board. And maybe that is the way to death flag elder sibling, is they don't have a dinosaur partner. They have some other regal, eagle dog or something, some kind of mythical beast. And it's like, oh, wow, they're already got some kind of champion mon with them. And oh, how powerful and bonded they are. First thing, how cool, how exceptional. Oh, how tragically they were just eaten by the bad guy.
It's not a dinosaur. It's a dragon.
Dragon. Okay, well, still,
sure.
Dragons are dinosaurs, just with fire.
No. I'm just saying that you're your older character has the dragon, so that way it can be like, okay,
fine.
It's sort of dinosaur. It's dinosaur adjacent, but it's not a dinosaur.
All right. And then you've got room for wee baby Goggles Jr. and their dino companion to grow up into the badass duo that they're destined to be. Digi-destined to be. Excuse me. As for the rest of the cast, I'd want to mix and match a little bit. Have some, one pair that is just purely diametrically opposed, complete yin yang antithesis to each other, and those differences make them stronger. And one in there would just be just straight up, this Mon is a full reflection of who that person is, and they fully acknowledge it. And together they grow in a very straightforward fashion. But that's fine, because that's the way some folks are. And, from there, what is the key deficiency of this cast member, and what Pokemon reflects a way to confront it, or a way that would potentially make it worse. And so the tamer, in the effort to bring the Pokemon up, overcomes their own limitations.
Digimon, not Pokemon.
You know what I mean.
I know. People out there know what you mean. I'm just making sure. I don't want any Digimon fans to become incensed with you and angry. We already have enough angry Sonic fans on our case. We don't need the angry Digimon Legion to come after us too.
If that is the only slip up I make this episode, I will be impressed.
Okay. The next two evolutions for Digimon tend to have a lot to do with both their and their tamer story arcs. The ultimate level tends to mean that they've dealt with their biggest internal issue and are actually ready to begin a new arc. The mega level tends to mean they've completed their arc, and whatever evil force they'll have to deal with next is up against a fully realized version of the Digimon and Tamer duo. Hearing this, how do you picture your cast obtaining the ultimate and the mega forms of their partners, and how do you picture these forms looking for them?
Well, I mean, if we're building off of this threadbare structure we have thus far, Goggles Jr. is going to maybe only get their ultimate by the end of Act 2, when they've come into their own and realized their own self-worth, and they're now spearheading the effort to stop Dr. Antagonisto.
My favorite villain.
Such a memorable name. The rest of the cast, we'll go ahead and push them to their megas, because they already had kind of a head start, what with the elder sibling helping them along. So now they've come together, and they are going to throw all their might behind Goggles Jr. to assist in this final push to bring goodness and light back to the realms. And then you save Goggles Jr. and his dino buddies mega for like the final confrontation, when all the chips are down, their back is to the wall. They need that one final push to end things, and then boop, Digivolve, the electric guitar kicks in, the cathartic moment is overwhelming. They kick all sorts of ass. You want this for them. You are cheering at the screen.
Yes. Also, you said something about the megas in there, and I'm like, ooh, I love the megas. Wait, that's not what we're talking about. Never mind.
I mean, if they want to do the score for this, that's fine by me.
You know what? I'll give them a call. One of the things about Digimon that have earned a lot of affection is the fact that it tends to have 3 or maybe 4 arcs, and then it's out. This is paired with its tendency towards serialized storytelling, left an impression on its young fans back in the day. In order to make the most of this formula, I suspect you might benefit the most from starting at the end of Arc 3 and then working backwards to reverse engineer the prior 2 arcs based on them. Some ideas that have been previously used include an artificial Digimon created by humans to enslave one or both worlds, an evil or even holy force from the digital world that hates human interference, a dark consequence of all the negative bait in cyberspace polluting the digital world, a computer virus making contact with the Digimon phenomena and mutating into something terrible, or even a twisted horror from beyond the void drawing to the collision of our worlds. What will your main antagonists force, and how do they manifest for the grand finale of the 3rd arc?
Well, we're talking about blood rights within Digimon, because I'm sure that's on brand. And possibly a merger of the worlds. Maybe the antagonist, Dr. Antagonisto, has discovered the link between the worlds and doesn't like either of them. Doesn't like the mundanity of the human world, doesn't like the whims Digimon world. It feels like everything should be corrected, and the only way you can make a big old correctional omelet is by breaking a few souls. So there they go about, cultivating Digi lives, maybe even human lives, make them an extra monstrous character. How do they go about such things in the human world? Maybe they're a cult leader, luring people in with the promises of answers and comfort and money. And in the Digi world, it's, I don't know, what appeals to Digimon first and foremost. The promise of partners, perhaps. Answers and companionship. Come to my totally not evil, dark, spooky castle. I'll link you up with these other dimensional beings and they will fulfill you. Oh, wait, that bond is exactly the kind of energy I need to fuel my fear engine, which I will then tear down both realities, pave over, and make as I see fit.
Apparently, Digimon like food.
Okay, well, then come to my giant, scary, not so scary of apples.
Come to my buffet.
Delicious apples.
Come to my totally not evil buffet. It's not evil, I swear.
You'll just eat until you die.
Considering both the balance of techno-occultism and the settings you want to use, it's time to reverse engineer the threats encountered on the way to the grand finale, exploring how they were symptoms or causes of the greater threat. A human villain can be a nice treat. With that in mind, how does your main antagonist force set up, embolden, motivate, or enrage the main antagonist of the first and second arc? Or vice versa?
I'm assuming you mean protagonist that second time, but...
I mean, I'm just reading what it said.
I know.
Okay.
Going off of what we've established thus far, maybe... I mean, no evil overlord / cult leader is complete without those that they have tricked into their way of life, whether it's someone that actually believes in the cause or someone who wants there to be an answer and really doesn't want to think any harder about things because that would require effort. Someone can provide me with all the direction and meaning and I don't have to do anything. That's great. And those individuals would be set out to do the grunt work, the dirty work, the inciting incidents that would get the main party involved going, wait, that's not right. Intervene in low stakes confrontations and going, there's something more to this, and investigating further on both sides of the dimensional rift. And if we're going with the idea that Dr. Antagonisto, why am I sticking with that, is cultivating the energy of fully realized bonds, then once he realized that he has this plucky group of adventurers, RPG style, heading for his totally not sinister buffet tower, he's going to purposefully instigate further conflict and challenge them so that those bonds become greater enriched. And then he can step in with his pruning shears of doom and, snippy snip, start taking lives and energy and furthering his plan. And also would give a perfectly logical reason, within this context, of why he leaves the party after the initial defeat, because he wants them to come back. He wants them to get stronger, because that will be more for him to cultivate later. He wants them to be pissed off. He wants them to be driven to fight, because when they do, that just means it's going to further his plans along. Have fun storming the castle, kids. I'll be waiting for you.
So he's a troll. I like it. A Dr. Antagonisto. I mean, is that really any worse than Dr. Eggman? Let's be real here.
No, I suppose not.
Let's be real here. just saying. Just saying. Apparently he did main antagonists twice. So apparently each arc would have its own antagonist, and then the main antagonist, the true antagonist, the true big bad of the whole thing would show up in the final arc. That's what I mean, that still works towards the same idea, I suppose. If you shoot even end of Act 2 purposely sets up one of his lieutenants to take the fall. Yeah.
So that the party has their triumphant victory, so they feel enriched and emboldened and accomplished. That's some tasty bonds with your partners there. Can't wait for you to bring them to my buffet castle.
Delicious. I've said a couple times now that Digimon tends to enjoy traumatizing its cast, and it's honestly it kind of enjoys traumatizing its audience if it gets a chance. I'm not saying you'd relish the opportunity to partake in that tradition. I just don't think you'd loathe it.
I mean...
As well as killing the Digimon or its tamer, or sealing both worlds away from each other seemingly forever, separating beloved friends, there's also a concept of dark digivolution. Slaughtering mercilessly and turning on friends. Typically, this punishes a character at the peak of a negative character arc, leaving them in tears before their Digimon reverts, if they survive. For simplicity, based on what you've come up with so far, please insert 2 traumatic plot points. One whenever you like, and one at the end. What are they?
Well, we already have elder sibling dying heroically and tragically in the first act.
Yep.
So you think that their partner Digimon got offed as well, because that only makes sense. They're cultivating the energy and whatnot. But no. Dr. Antagonisto kept it around and Dark Digivolved it to send it against the party here in, let's see, Act 3, if this is where he wants to place it, as the kind of last hurrah to really test their mettle and really mess with the emotions and bring up that emotional juice to peak froth. And forcing the party to not only defeat some kind of horrible, overpowered dark monster, but one that they counted as their friend and one that is a representative of all that they have lost. And, why not? We'll twist the knife a little more. In its last moments, this corrupted Digimon realizes what they've done and thanks the friends for stopping their reign of terror before poofing into pixels.
Poof. Digimon has expressed an interest in serving its Western fans more. Kazumasa Habu, the lead figure for modern Digimon console games, started off disinterested in Pokemon, only to realize why it's so beloved by folks, and is now obvious.
You did it this time.
Oh, what did I do? I said Pokemon?
You said Pokemon.
Oops. It's funny, because I literally am looking right at the word.
Psst. I know.
Oops. Started off disinterested in Digimon, only to realize why it's so beloved by folks, and is now obviously super passionate, but still values fresh perspectives who can read the current room rather than risk falling a decade behind fans again. So let us imagine you got a Digimon for IDW offer and accept it. In theory, you might spend 1 to 3 years getting to know the characters in the setting you created inside and out, fully actualizing your human and Digimon cast, and just maybe even retreading Habu's own arc. Your human and Digimon OCs would be in the card game, and the Digimon ones would even have their species appear even in other folks' projects. You may have done a good job of creating new Digimon fans, and who knows what franchises you've crossed over with. So how would you feel when the first major mandate you received from on high since first starting was, "Congratulations! In the grand tradition of Digimon, we can't wait to see your sequel's new cast, new versions of the worlds, new threats, new MacGuffins, and new struggles."
Been there, done that.
Say, okay, reboot time? All right.
And, there's nothing particularly wrong with that. I mean, shoot, that regular of a gig? Sure, sign me up. It would be more of a question of, is this a continuation of the previous arc, or is this a whole new take? Like, if it's a continuation, there's always the fun. Here's the time skip, and where are they now? What has become of the original cast that, everyone has enjoyed so much? What is their role in this new direction in the narrative? Are they just kind of Easter eggs? Are they foundational members to the story? Are they the sacrificial lambs for the new big bad? Yeah. If it's a brand new take, then what ideas didn't make the cut the first time through? Or, when going through the first arc, it's like, oh, I wish we could take it in this direction, but it just wouldn't fit thematically. Or this would have been a really cool dinosaur design, but we can't place it anywhere. It's, start fresh, start something new, take the idea and just run with it again for funsies. It would not be heartbreaking necessarily, because this is assuming that the first arc reached a natural conclusion, that I told the story. In which case, okay, it's done. Tie a bow on it. And now there's a sequel series. Cool. Start fresh.
I am being told that it's almost always a new take, ripping your existing characters away. So
okay,
it'll always be something new. And apparently it's rare that they bring back existing writers. So if you actually got a recurring gig on this, it would be surprising.
Well, I mean, I've been on Sonic for how long? I kind of defy conventions anyway.
I mean, true. Yeah, yep. Twilight says, "Thanks for humoring this little experiment. I'm not exactly a great writer, so I hope I didn't hamstring your creativity with this attempt at creating a guide for the things you'd want to address in constructing your scenario. And please remember, Ian, there were no wrong answers. Hell, even those 3 things it's famous for, ensemble cast, trauma, and even monster partners, are things they've explored not doing. So, did you enjoy this ridiculous experience?"
Oh, sure. Theory crafting, plot crafting, narrative crafting is just super fun. It's almost more fun than script writing, to be perfectly honest. If I could make a career out of just, hey, wouldn't this be a neat idea? I'd be set for life.
Mm-hmm.
And, it is honestly one of the more fun assignments I've received from various clients over the years is, here's the core idea that we want realized. Run with it. And it's usually very similar to this. This is actually a little more open-ended than what I'm used to. I'm usually given something like, here is the clear premise and the characters and the themes. We know it's not working. Why? And then it's kind of a delicate balancing act of how much of their original material do you want to keep and how much do you want to incorporate and how much you want to gently massage and how much you want to go, okay, look, no, just no. We got to cut this. So if this were like an actual project, like if IDW were to get Digimon and knock on my door and say, hey, you want to do, this would be the perfect homework to start from. So no, this is fun. This is funsies. It's just, I can't really go full whole hog on it because crafting a whole cast and figuring out the plot beats and what partners there are and those connections, that's hours, if not days worth of work and research and actual dedicated construction. This right here, this is kind of like a napkin doodle concept when it could be a full on architectural blueprint.
Well, you've got an idea set here. Maybe you could use it somewhere, even if it's not for Digimon, Maybe you got something. Maybe. Something you got up your sleeve.
Because I'm really hurting for ideas that I want to put on a page at this point.
Hey, who knows?
Look, if there's any kind of ludicrously wealthy individual out there who wants to sponsor the arts and throw money at me to just make ideas, please get in touch. We'll do lunch on you. Anyway, Twilight has a question for you, Kyle.
Okay.
You heard Ian's pitch. You know the outline and the freedom he gets inside it. So as someone who isn't a fan of Digimon, would you read Ian's Digimon comic?
I mean, maybe. I'm sure.
Such a ringing endorsement.
I mean, sure. I'd read comics written by Ian. What, do you want me to say no? I don't know what I'm supposed to say here. Like, do I want to read it? I mean, sure, I'll read it. I like stories. I like digi creatures. I like technology. I like champions. And there's Digimon. And they are the champions of the world. Wait, no, it can't be of the world. It has to be of the worlds, because there were at least 2.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, we got some closing business. So do you want to pick from the options in the folder I sent Kyle, or do you want to just do an episode where you ask Kyle all these questions and see what he comes up with? And please stop saying you can answer my tune. I enjoy this approach.
Thinking hard. Well, first off, Kyle, would you want to go through this gamut of questions?
No.
Okay. That answers that.
Here's the thing. I'm not the writer guy. Yeah, that's you, buddy. That's you, buddy, not me.
Well,
but
I haven't seen this list of options, at least not in a while.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tempt fate here and say, Kyle, you pick the topic and surprise me. And then when Twilord makes his questions, I'll know who to blame. And it's you.
Well, I mean, wait, what else is new, right? Well, I'll go through it real quick because I'll go through the folder real quick and see what I can find. Let's see. I mean, we could do the unthemed questions one that has no theme. It's just random questions. We could just do that one.
Okay.
Why not? I don't know what's in it. I'm opening it up now. So let's see. Unthemed questions. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's do that one.
All right.
Yeah.
What dangers lurk within? There's only one way to find out, and that's tuning in to the next BumbleKast Mini sponsored by Twilord, which will happen in
a while.
Future.
A little bit. All right. That's it. That's all we got.
Yep. So thank you again to Twilord for sponsoring this BumbleKast Mini. If you want one of your own, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or become a YouTube member. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.
Catch you in the next one.
Thank you.